Hi, this is Cheryl Smith with Heartland Stamping, and I wanted to show you a really cute gift card and little box to hold it. We're going to put it in a cello bag and tie it up with some lovely metallic ribbon, and you'll have a great little gift to hand out this Christmas. Let's start off with the gift card. So the gift card is just an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and you cut it at 4 1/4, and then you score it at 4 1/4 and 8.5, and you're left with this little flap that's 2.5 inches long. And this is where you're going to stick your gift card, right in this little pocket. So number one tip, be sure when you're putting your adhesive on the little flap, you only put it on the sides. You do not want it to be a closed up flap with adhesive, and yes, it has been done before. So let's make that first. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to use today. We are going to use the Toile Tidings Designer Series paper, and this was in the holiday catalog last year, and it's back this year. I'm so excited that it's back. The nice thing about this is you have the same pattern on both sides, and on one side it's real red, on the opposite side it's garden green, and the neutral that we have in there is vanilla. We've got some different scenes, and this one's more kind of a greenery piece, but my favorite one is probably this checked pattern. That's been my favorite. I've almost used all of that one up. So it's great, and it's spelled T-O-I-L-E, Tidings Designer Series paper. And if you search for that at cherylsmith.stampinup.net, you'll find it, and lots of other great products to use for your Christmas cards. Now, this paper is, like I said, garden green, but I use the shaded spruce for this little strip here, and I use shaded spruce on the inside. I just thought that made it look a little richer, and it was closer to the look that I was going for, and it looks just great. It's just a tiny bit shade darker than the garden green, and I love how it looks. So here is our crumb cake cardstock. Again, it's 4 1/4 wide by 11 inches long. I scored it at 4 1/4. So we want this essentially just to be a square 4 1/4 inch card when we're done. And then we're going to fold up this little flap, and that's where I scored at the 8.5 inch line. And that's what's going to create our little flap. I'm going to use my tear and tape. I don't want this to go anywhere. You could also use your multi-purpose liquid glue. And again, you just want to put that right here on that side. Get my bone folder out, just rub that pretty good. Make sure it stays where it's supposed to. And then we'll get our tear and tape again. We also have a product called Stampin' Seal Plus. That's a great alternative to the tear and tape, but tear and tape is an old friend, and I'm still using that one. So there we go. That just created our pocket. Now on the front, we're going to use some of the Toile Tidings Designer Series paper. Let's say you decided to go with a red theme. That would look just as pretty, but we're going to do the green theme today. There we go. Now I decide which way I want my leaves to go, and I think I want it to go just like this. And we'll put this on right here. Got about 1/8 of an inch margin of that crumb cake around the outside edges. And then we're going to lay this strip. I think this piece is 4 by 4. So this little strip is 1/2 inch by 4. Now this was part of a class, and if you took the class, then you got the PDF. I have the PDFs available, class PDFs, if you wanted to purchase those, but they do come free with your class. All right. Now the last thing for the outside of this cute little gift card holder. We have some of these gilded gems, and these are gold. And I'm just going to put a couple of those right down here at the bottom. Just very sweet and very simple. I didn't want this distracting from our box that we're going to make next. So gold gems go right there. And now we need something for our flap on the inside. So let's set that up here out of the way. We're going to get our Stamparatus. If you haven't used the Stamparatus, it's a really great tool. What I'm going to do right now is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stamps on my plate, and I am going to do them all at once. So I only have to ink up one time and then press it down one time. And I've had this out for my class, so I knew exactly where to put it. If you are putting these together, you can kind of experiment a little bit before you get them in the right place. But it is great once you do get them placed in the right spot, because then all you have to do is ink up. Just like that. Make sure you have your magnet here to hold your paper still. That way, if for some reason one area isn't inked up quite right, then you can go back and reapply. And all of those look really good. But let's say those leaves didn't get inked up very well. I just put some more ink right down there on the holly leaves, press that down, and boom, that was right in the same place. So you have a second chance as long as you have your magnet in place. If you do use both the magnets, because there's a space here, that's the one I'm using, and this is my second one. Just make sure they don't get close together, because if you get them too close together, they snap. And this is a great magnet. It's made out of a really nice metal, but one of the qualities of this metal is it's a little brittle. So if these snap together, or if this snaps to some other large magnetic surface, it might chip off or shatter the end. So you do have to be careful, just like any other tool. You have to know how to use it, and just be careful with it. So shaded spruce. And let's go ahead and clean that off. I'm going to get my Stampin' Chamois. We did get a little bit messy. So just clean that off. And all I use on my chamois is water. And that cleans everything off really well. Ooh, that is a squeaky little sound though. Squeaky little sound. So let's put that away. And I do keep that in my my thin DVD case. We do carry these. This is for our clear amount stamps. And I put one of my favorite stamp sets on the front. That's the Celebrate Sunflowers. All right, we'll put our shaded spruce ink pad away. Make sure I don't have any stray ink on my hands. That has been known to happen. And we're going to take our Stampin' Seal, and we're just going to apply that down the sides. Make sure we get it all the way into the corners. Then I've got a rectangle of the shaded spruce. I'll put that right there where it needs to go. And then I'm going to just reapply again along the edges, making sure I get it. I'm going to turn this one this direction. I got a little stray adhesive on there. I'll make sure I don't get my project laid on that. That is the most aggravating thing. If you accidentally lay your project on a stray piece of adhesive and it tears a little bit or sticks to it, especially once you've got it all the way done. Okay, so there it is. There's our little pocket. That's going to fit right into our box. Now let's work on the box. So our box base is one of our envelope or card and envelope boxes, and I just cut it right in half. So this thing, if you go from score line to score line where the folds start, that is 5 3/4 inches. So to cut it in half, I measured from, again, this fold or score line right here on the edge, and that is 2 7/8 from this folded score line to this edge right here that I cut. So I've got 2 little holders that I can make from one box. So we're gonna fold the other score lines. 2 of them were folded very well because they were flattened for sending, and 2 of them you have to fold yourself. So I fold these backwards and then I fold them forwards. Let's fold that around and down just every way you can to make sure once you get it put together that it's going to stay nice and folded. So there we go. And then that'll just set up all by itself. Now this is wide enough that once you get your gift card holder in there, that you could put some little candies in there as well. Not any chunky ones, but some of the thinner ones, you know, especially something like a Hershey or a Kit Kat, or just something small. But it's always nice to include a little sweet treat in there as well. So I'm going to start again with my crumb cake, and I want it to meet up in the back. We're going to make this the back. Now you can score this if you want to, but we're just going to fold around to the form of our box. And that way we don't have to worry about score lines not matching up, and it fits it really well. So that's going to go right on there. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal, a little bit at the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on here, and hopefully it won't argue with me and stick where it's not supposed to. But just try to save some time. All right, so we'll get that centered on there. And again, we have our little fold lines that we put in there by hand. And that should meet up pretty well right in the back. Just press where you had that adhesive to get it stuck down nicely. Then we're going to do the same thing to some designer series paper. And again, I'm using the Toile Tidings. And I'm going to do the same thing. Before I put adhesive on it, I'm going to just simply kind of pinch that around. I'm holding it with this hand. And just kind of pinch those corners. Make sure it stays a little taut. And then we get it over to this side, pinch that one, and then just gently pinch that one too. And then those will meet up over here. And I'm gonna take that longer flap behind the shorter flap. So let's put our adhesive on for this one. And if you want to, go ahead and fold those on the crease lines after you take them off. That'll help you with this designer series paper. So again, put some adhesive on the back, put some adhesive on these little flaps that are gonna meet. There we go. Now this one, it doesn't matter if it's upside down or not with this type of pattern. Some patterns you definitely would. There were some scenery patterns and you wouldn't want your trees or your snowmen to be upside down, but this one, it's just very random leaf patterns, so it doesn't matter. We'll just fold that right around, make sure the seams meet up nicely and they don't have any stray pieces poking out. So there we go. That's going to be the back of our box. Now this piece, I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to start it in the back where my other edges meet up. And this one I'm going to have meet up in the front, and the ribbon is going to be the same way because they're going to be covered up by our little stitched oval. So you see how those meet up nicely in the front. Again, wherever we did our little pinch lines, I'm just going to reinforce that and go ahead and crease that and fold it. Gonna put just one strip of that Stampin' Seal in the back, and then these front pieces. And again, let's find our seams, and we're gonna put this piece right across the back. And this green is such a lovely, nice bold color. It's gonna kind of draw the eye and camouflage away from those seams. All right, so now we've got 3 layers on our box. Some of you might be asking, why didn't I just lay all those out and put some adhesive on them? Well, it makes it kind of hard to fold around because each layer has just a little bit of a different fold. Just because of the layering, it's a little thicker than a piece that it has to fold around. So do those individually, just like I did, and it'll lay a lot nicer and flatter. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put our ribbon on. I'm going to use that Stampin' Seal again. And it fits just on that ribbon width. Again, check and make sure you don't have any stray parts of adhesive over here. Rub those out. I'm going to start this just about right here. Because again, that oval that we're going to put in the front is going to cover up where the seams meet. There we go. All right, now that's kind of in a waiting pattern while we work on some other parts and pieces. Let's grab our Stamp Emboss, Cut and Emboss. Let's put that right about there. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty good. We're going to have our number 1 basic platform, and then our number 2 piece. I know this one is very thin, but it just enables your basic platform to have enough pressure to cut those dies. Number 3 is a clear plate, and you'll also need a second one of those number 3 plates as well. And we're going to cut a couple of things at once here. So we're going to have some vanilla, and we're going to have some spruce. And let's see if I turn this vanilla this way. I'm always doing this like a puzzle piece, but I think that's a little bit big. So maybe we'll do these 2 and we'll do the other 2 together. So we have our Joy dies. Now, if you haven't used these, they're really cool. They have different layers of the same word, and one layer is really big. It's kind of just this huge bubble outline. And then the second one gets just a little bit smaller. Now, if you notice, I put washi tape on those to hold them still, and always use my fingers just to make sure that the plates are nice and in line with the platform, so you're not pushing something in. If you get them a little off one way or another, then they have to kind of push in. That can even move your cardstock or your die, so make sure everything's straight and lined up before you roll it through. So let's pull those out and see what it looks like. So this is what I call the medium, and that's our Joy. We'll lay that over here. And then we have the big piece, and you can just barely tell what that might possibly be, Joy. But it's a great outline once you get it all put together. Now the last pieces that we're going to cut, we need our stitched oval shape. I'm going to put a piece of washi tape on that guy. And then what we're going to need is our brushed metallic cardstock. And to make things easier on the other end, I'm going to take some of our adhesive sheets, and I'm just going to peel that backing off. And then I'm going to lay this right on the back side. So after I die cut this, it'll be like a little sticker. So we'll put that right there, and let's get our super thin Joy die, and you can see how the die lines are just perfectly saying the word joy, and you can easily see it. So that's the smallest one. Let's put our top cutting plate right back on top. Make sure it's all lined up and straight. And there we go. So let's pull those out and see what we've got. Here's our oval in the crumb cake. And I love those stitched shapes. It gives just the prettiest little detail. And then we're gonna pop out our joy that has the sticker on the back. And if you have some pieces like this that stayed in there, let's get this out of the way. We're just going to take our U-pick tool and poke those out. Now, if you wanted to do the reverse of that, you would save all these little pieces and maybe just have a little square. I know I have the square cut out. I must have already cleaned that up, but then you would kind of slice this off and just have that little rectangle there, and you would, whoo, it's sticking to my finger, but you put these back in the little spots where they're supposed to go. And if you pop that J, and you put that back in here, so you get the idea. It would be easier if I actually had that stuck down, but I like how the negative space, or the negative part of this, is just another cute thing to use, so don't throw that away. Save all those little parts. Now, we're going to take our U-pick tool, and this back side of the joy, we're just going to pick off that sticker part, the back of the sticker. And now we can just lay this right down on top of this one. And we don't have to worry about adhesive. Just make sure when you're sticking it down, you get it in the exact right spot. And there you go. Oh, that's so pretty. I just love that. Now we're going to take some dimensionals, and I have my edges. I save the edges for something like this, so I can snip off narrow little pieces, and then we'll just put those, like I'll put this behind the J, and then the Y. Let's do one more for the O. Now that one could have actually just used a regular one, but that's okay. I mean, if you wanted to, you could cut little pieces to go on all of those, but I think these three will be adequate for our gift box. And we're going to take the vanilla piece that we cut, and we're going to put it right on the shaded spruce. So there we go with that one. And then, yes, of course, I'm going to put some more dimensionals on here, and we're going to pop that up. We're going to put that right on our crumb cake oval, and then we'll put that on the box. These little things do stick a little bit, the static electricity, so in the wintertime, you have them stuck to you everywhere. And then if you want to, you can, of course, I've got some big ones that I cut in half. We'll just use those up. These were part of a paper pumpkin kit, and I have several left over, so I thought I'm just going to try to use those up on my video projects. Leave them right over here. So then the last thing you're going to do with that is put that, make sure it's evenly spaced horizontally and vertically. And so that's our box. It really didn't take long. You know, if you have several gifts that you have to give out, like for a group, maybe some team at work or something like that, these really do go very, very quickly. And then again, I just made a simple gift card. The inside has a little bit more on it, but I wanted it to look really nice and the focus to be on my box. I didn't want any distracting things up here. And then just put it in a little cello bag and tie it with a coordinating ribbon, or even another gold ribbon that we carry. This is again our gold metallic edged ribbon, and it does have more of a vanilla look to it. The silver is more white. So this is our project for today. If you have any questions at all about what I used or any measurements or anything, just contact me and I'll be happy to help you on your creative journey. All of these supplies can be found at cherylsmith.stampinup.net, and you all have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.